Good evening, everybody. Welcome to join European Study Talk tonight. Study Talk is a series of our online and on-site webinar and sessions for Taiwanese students to understand and know more about the European University and their programs. And tonight, our first feature school will be on campus Amsterdam. If you're looking forward to studying university in Holland, in Netherlands, and in Amsterdam, especially University of Amsterdam, then tonight's session will be for you. And it's our pleasure to have Sally, who is in charge of regional recruitment. She will introduce the program and application for us. So let's welcome her.
Thank you very much for that lovely welcome. And it's really great to be able to speak to you all this evening. I'm really sorry I can't be there in person. I like to come to visit Taiwan as often as possible, and I'm hoping that I can come again soon. For now, though, I'm going to share my screen. That's the first thing I'm going to do, and let you all have a look at my presentation. And I'm going to speak for maybe 25 or 30 minutes. And then after that, I'd be really happy to answer questions that anybody has for me about details of the courses or in general about studying and life in the Netherlands. So hello, everybody. As Jade said, my name is Sally. I'm the Centre Director of ONCAMPUS Amsterdam. I've been in Amsterdam since we opened the centre back in 2012. So almost 10 years now. And we started with just 2 students in that very first term, and we now have between 350 and 400 students normally in each year. So what am I going to talk to you about this evening? A little bit of an overview first of my different slides. So I'm going to start with some information about living and studying in the Netherlands. It's a different country to the UK and the US, and perhaps for some of you it's a bit mysterious. So I thought I might try and talk to you a little bit about life in the Netherlands and the Dutch and what you might expect if you come to be a student with us here. And then I'm going to have a look at the 2 different types of university, because we have 2 very separate types of university in the Netherlands: research universities and applied science universities. So in each case, I'm going to give you some information about what you might expect if you go to a research university and what you might expect if you go to an applied science university, so that you can really have a little think about which type of institution might suit you better, because different types of people like different types of university here, and there's very definitely a way you can decide what would suit your character or your academic level, or indeed your interests a little bit better. Then we'll have a very quite a quick look at what we offer at On Campus. I could speak for hours, probably days, about the things that we offer at On Campus, but I'm aware that you can get all that information from our lovely colleagues in Taiwan as well. And then finally, maybe a little look at why you would choose to go to UFA. So what are the things about the University of Amsterdam that might appeal to you? And then equally, why you might choose to go to the Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences. So those are the 2 institutions that we have the closest connection with at the moment. And then my last 2 slides, because it's current and because everybody's thinking about this, I thought I would just give you a little overview of how we are with COVID in the Netherlands these days. And of course, you might have more questions about that, and the situation changes almost, very, very regularly. But where are we right now, and what are we looking at for the future? And where are we moving with that? Okay, so those are my slides, and that's what I'm going to be talking to you about this evening. So my first slide: living and studying in the Netherlands. Okay, so a little bit of information about the Dutch, really, and about life here. The first 2 words that I've put on that slide are collaboration and communication. The first thing to say to you about studying and being a student in the Netherlands is that a lot of things are about collaborating with your colleagues, collaborating with your peer groups. So this is working together. Okay, the Dutch are very, very clear that it's much, much better to work as a team and work together with people than it is ever to actually work separately. So they believe very strongly, and that's not just in education, but also in society, that society is a great deal stronger if people form bonds and people work together. So the idea that if you are alone, you can achieve one thing, but as a group of people you can achieve 10 or 20 things is very strong in this country. So you'll find straight away that what's expected of students is that they actually form groups and work with their groups, and that one person may have great skills in one area. Perhaps one person's got very, very strong language skills and very good at presenting, for example, whereas another person might be much quieter and have be much shyer in a way, but actually they can add just as much to teamwork, to a final project as the person with the loud voice. So the idea is that you collaborate and that every single person within a group has got something very, 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 very valuable to offer. And this is something that in the foundation year we work quite strongly on. We expect the students to start to get the idea that they should and they will be best to collaborate with their colleagues. Communication is another big thing in the Netherlands. Okay, we like to talk, we like to communicate. So we expect students to find their voices as quickly as possible with us. And we understand that from some cultures, it's quite difficult. The idea that you will put your head, you put your head up and put your hand up and ask questions and possibly disagree with people, and that you will be constantly looking for feedback and generating discussion can be quite challenging. So again, in the foundation year, we work a lot on communication. And it's something that if you're going to be thriving as a student in the Netherlands, you really need to be able to communicate. So that's that idea that you find your voice as early as possible. And people don't mind if you make a few grammar mistakes or you have to struggle to find vocabulary. The point is that you try and find those words and find that voice of yours. So that's collaboration and communication. The second two are self-motivation and self-reliance. Dutch students are expected to be self-motivated. Especially at research universities, you are expected to find your own motivation for study. So it's unlikely that you're going to have someone standing behind you telling you what to do all the time, telling you what time to get out of bed, telling you what time to go to class. If you don't go to class, they might say that's your own choice, but you should have it within yourself to be self-motivated. So we find that students who are very successful with us are those ones who come with a really clear goal and are really strong in their own motivation for being in the Netherlands and for being a student. And equally self-reliance. Again, the Dutch will expect students to be self-reliant, okay? So to be robust and to be strong and to really be able to call on themselves, to give them the strength to continue with their lives and with their studies in the Netherlands. Again, it's not a country where students are able to sit back and let other people take responsibility for things. You have to be able to take responsibility for your own study and for your own life. So it does mean that it can be quite tough as a place to study, but if you can get hold of these things, you will have the best time possible because you'll learn all those extraordinary skills. And by the time you finish studying, employers will look at you and know that you are a person that can get down to work from your own motivation and that you'll be a very strong, charactered person who can rely on themselves to be successful. Okay, so self-motivation and self-reliance. And then finally, a little bit about Dutch character. The Dutch are very direct people. They're also very open people as well. So if you ask a Dutch person a question, they're going to give you a direct answer. And again, for some of the nationalities that we work with, this can be quite difficult. I'm from the UK, I'm British originally, and British people are famously not very direct at all. So if you ask a British person a question, they'll often take several steps around that question and will find it very difficult to answer that question directly. So I've had to learn myself to be more direct, but also to understand that directness is a good thing, that being direct will mean that you never have to ask yourself what someone is thinking or whether you have offended someone or they don't agree with you, because they're going to tell you, and then you can move on and work with that answer. So I've had to learn that myself, and some of our students have to do the same thing. And then finally, the Dutch are open. It's a very open society in the Netherlands. People are very, very open-minded and they allow people to be the people they want to be. Nobody judges you here. And again, for students exploring themselves, it's an extraordinary place to live. So we have, the Dutch would say very clearly that you can be who you want to be. You can have the religion you want to have. You can come from the country you come from. You can speak the language you want to speak. You can be gay, you can be straight. You can be, you can dye your hair pink or have your hair natural. You can wear lots of makeup or no makeup at all. You can dress in the way you want to dress. You can have the political beliefs you want to have. And they may not agree with your political beliefs or your way of living, but they are never going to tell you that you are wrong. So again, for students, it's an extraordinary place to be because there's this openness in society that allows our students to really explore themselves and to find out who they are, and how they want to live their lives. So this is a little bit about living and studying in the Netherlands. It's quite a different country to lots of other countries, but I think for the right type of person or for someone who is interested in exploring these things, it's the perfect country to come and live in. Okay, so that's a little bit of information about living and studying in the Netherlands. Okay, so we're going to move on now and have a little look at research universities and what to expect. So the research university that we are partnered with is the University of Amsterdam. So, and we would call that UFA, that's how we pronounce that. So UFA is our research university partner. So what would you expect if you become a student at a research university? The first point is that classes are mainly theoretical and there's very little or no practical content. So you're going to be spending a lot of time actually researching and thinking about the theory around things, not necessarily how things work. So very theoretical and very little practical content. So you are constantly trying to obtain critical and analytical skills and then use them to conduct research in a specific field. So again, in your bachelor's degree, but especially in your master's degree and beyond, this is what you're trying to do. You're obtaining those skills because you're expected to conduct research. That's where you are headed into the world of research. That's why they're called research universities. There are minimal contact hours, and this goes back to my point about being very self-reliant and self-motivated. You're not going to have a timetable that has 25 contact hours with teachers and other students in a week. In some weeks for the bachelor students, you may only have 4 or 6 or 8 contact hours in a week. So you might have a lecture where there might be 200 or 300 people, then a couple of classes where there might be 20 people, and the rest of the time you're expected to work on the topics that you've been given. So you'll have a lot of reading to do. And that's my next point, lots and lots of course material to study independently. So you might be given a big reading list, and then you might go to a lecture where it covers some of that information, and then a tutorial where you'll go into more detail in that information. And then you go, you know what, you go off and you form a group with your peers, with your colleagues, and you start to work together. So that's what I mean about actually having to, you're not going to be given lots of contact with your tutors, but lots and lots of preparation. And so when you do have contact with your tutors, you're expected to be very well prepared and to have put all the work in beforehand. And again, for certain types of students, this is fantastic because there's no time wasted. Okay, you're not sitting through hours and hours and hours of content that you could be reading yourself and going off in the directions that you want to go off in. Okay, so preparation for these contact hours includes significant amounts of course material to study independently. Students who finish the foundation program and go to bachelor studies are often quite surprised by just how much reading and preparation they're expected to do, but they might be reading, like 6 or 7 big books in a week to try and find out all the information that they need to find out, and working with their colleagues and working with their peers to really go into depth about some of the subjects that they're given to study. A bachelor degree at a research university normally takes 3 years to complete and almost never has an integrated internship. Traditionally, what would happen if you come and study at a research university is you will do, if you need to, you do a year of preparation with On Campus, and then you have a 3-year degree program. And then at the end of that 3 years, a lot of students will then add an internship at the end of it. Okay, so it's not integrated, it's at the end of the 3 years. So you might end up being a student for slightly longer than 3 years. But if you work hard and you put the work in, 3 years, you'll be able to complete your bachelor program. And it's really preparing you for an academic, a research, or a professional role. Okay, so it has all of those things within it. And most students from the Netherlands, I would say, go on after a bachelor's degree and do a master's degree. So they will top up and do a master's degree. And master's degrees here are 1 year. So that would normally be a 4-year academic program, but 4 years will get you a master's degree in the subject of your choosing. Okay, so that's a little bit about research universities and what to expect. Applied science universities are quite different. They are universities, and at the end of your program at an applied science university, you get a university degree. It has the same level as a research degree. It's just a slightly different experience. Okay, so the first point is it's much more hands-on, and it's designed to help you get ahead at the beginning of your professional life. So it's rather practical rather than theoretical. Okay, that's the difference really, that it's a more practical experience than it is a theoretical experience. It emphasizes obtaining skills and knowledge that can be used immediately at work. Okay, so that's what they're doing. They are giving you the skills and the knowledge for you to use when you start work. There are more contact hours, so it's minimal at a research university. There are more contact hours at a applied science university, and lots more learning through doing projects. My example of this is that at a research university, if you were looking at, say, a business plan, if you were studying business and you were looking at a business plan at a research university, you would look at the theory behind a business plan and theoretically how a business plan can help your company thrive. Okay, so you would do research, you would sit in the library, you would read about business plans, and you would look at the theory behind why you're putting what you're putting into your business plan. At an applied science university, they ask you to start a business. Okay, so you start a business in week 1 and you write your business plan based on your business. Okay, and the strength of your business plan is linked with the strength of the business that you have attached it to. So very, very much more practical. Okay, it's normally a 4-year degree program at Applied Science University, and it pretty much always includes an integrated internship. So rather than an internship that is added to the end of the degree program, you do your internship in the middle of your degree program, and it is part of your degree. So of course, all the work that you're doing in the internship and the contact that you have with the company that you're working for is part of your degree. So it's very, very much more organized. It's got a lot more point to it because actually it is part of the degree that you're doing. So success on your internship is part of the way that you're going to get that degree at the end of your program. And it really is, therefore, the best preparation for the job market. So if you're a student who thinks, I'd like to get a degree, I'd like to study abroad, but also I'd like to start work, I'd like to actually be thinking about being in the workplace, it might be that applied science is a better route for you. Okay, so that's the 2 different types of university that we have in the Netherlands. Okay, so now I'm just going to whip you through some of the programs that we have just to help you look at what you would be doing on campus. I've just populated the whole of that screen for you. So for undergraduate students, so students who are looking to go and study a bachelor degree in the Netherlands, we currently have 2 pathways. We have an economics and business pathway, which is for both the University of Amsterdam and the University of Applied Sciences. And then we have a social sciences pathway, and that's for the University of Amsterdam only. The programs that students study, that you would study, are quite similar. Okay, so you can see that we've got maths. For business, you've got business behaviors, and then finance and economics, skills for business, and English. Those are the core subjects that you'll be studying as an undergraduate foundation program student if you're heading towards economics and business. For AUAS, we have skills for business. For UFA, we have a maths program. Okay, so there is no maths content for the AUAS programs. For the social sciences pathway, it's quite similar. The maths program is the same. The economics program is slightly different. It's more geared towards economics within the social science field. And then there's an international relations module as well. So there's an excellent international relations program that students study. Is very much based on politics, and it's a very interesting program. Lots of discussion, lots of reading, lots of looking at current affairs. The programs are all 3 terms, so you can start in either September or January. We ask for a minimum age of 17. Okay, we can take students who are slightly younger. We can take students from the age of 16, but there are special regulations that go along with coming to us as a 16-year-old. The main one being is that you actually have to have a guardian who lives with you while you're on our program. Once you turn 17, you can join us, and there'll be about 26 hours per week, but that might include some self-study as well. And students who are in the middle of the program will find, of course, that the workload goes up and down. And at the very peak of the workload, you might be working for 40 hours per week as you're trying to finish submissions for your exams, you're taking exams, you're revising, and you're also taking classes as well. And then some other times you might have 18 or 20 hours of contact with your teachers every week, and not a huge amount of self-study to do. So those are the 2 undergraduate foundation programs that we offer at the moment. Okay, now how can you progress, or where can you progress to if you take our program? We have a very strong relationship with the Faculty of Economics and Business at the University of Amsterdam, and this is where a lot of our students end up studying, and that's a selection of the degree programs that you can take. So economics and business economics, business administration, econometrics, actuarial science, and quite a new program, business analytics, which is something that people are very excited about studying at the moment. They're quite maths heavy, those programs, apart from business administration, which has a lower requirement for maths. But if you're strong at maths, and I know a lot of people from Taiwan, a lot of students from Taiwan are very, very good at maths, these are the degree programs that we would be sending you in the direction There are other options. The other options are not guaranteed. That's what I would say. And we are working all the time to try and put together new guaranteed progression routes for students who come to study with us. But at the moment, the only ones that we can talk about having a signed agreement with are the ones that you can see on this page. There are lots and lots of selective programs now in the Netherlands. Okay, that means that before you can join that program, you don't just do our program, but you also have to take entrance tests or entrance exams that are set by those departments. So we can't talk about having guaranteed progression because we don't make the decision. The other faculties, the other departments do. But with students who are applying to us, we will talk through all of these things with you during your application process. Okay, so that's what I explained. There are entrance tests, there are no guarantees, and there are different expectations every year. So we have in the past had students who've studied at different faculties, but each year the entrance tests might change or the guarantees might change. So we have to say now we only have a certain number of degree programs that we can guarantee you a place on if you come and study with us. That's the UFA programs, that's the research university programs. Now we also work with the Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences with their business department, and we have 2 degree programs that are available on this pathway. One is international business, that's the fast track program, and one is international business, and that's the 4-year program. Okay, now the fast track program is a 3-year program, and the progression requirements are quite similar to those for the University of Amsterdam. The 4-year program is the one that I would always suggest students take. It's got a slightly lower level of requirement, but the 4-year program is the one that has the huge integrated internship in it. Students on that program generally do about 18 months of internships within their degree. So although you are a year longer studying, actually what you're getting for that year longer studying is a huge amount of added bonus of having that big internship in the middle of it all. Okay, the progression requirements are slightly lower for the University of Amsterdam, as I said, and there is no maths requirement. You can enter AOAS programs from our University of Amsterdam Foundation program. So for students who come to us and start with the research foundation program and decide that actually they'd rather go to the University of Amsterdam, or perhaps they are academically struggling a little bit, perhaps their maths isn't as strong as they hoped it might be, you can progress from UFA Foundation straight to AOAS. So it's a very nice backup plan for students who might require that. So those are undergraduate foundation programs. For students who've already graduated from university, we also have a master's qualifying program. It's still fairly new. We're getting, I think this is next year will be the 4th year that we've run this qualifying program. And we have, again, a list of degree programs that you can progress to that are all within all the business and economics area. So business administration, economics, business economics, econometrics, data science, accountancy and control are the list of degree programs we have at the moment. It is again a 3-term program, but we only have a September start with this program. We ask for a minimum age of 21, but this is just to do with having had to do a degree already. So most students who come to us have spent 3 or 4 years at an undergraduate degree level. So they will be 21, 22 years old when they join us. And again, we would say up to 26 hours or thereabouts of classes per week. Now, what's unique about this program? It's a very different program to a lot of other programs that are offered. We share the responsibility for teaching this course with the University of Amsterdam. So students who come on this program take a combination of University of Amsterdam taught and examined courses, and then they have an English language program and a methodology program with On Campus. So you are right from day one thrown straight into the university, which is the best possible preparation you can have, of course, for being a student on a master's program, is that you are already on the undergraduate program joining University of Amsterdam students and courses and taking exams that are set by the university. So you really are going to hit the ground running when you start that master's program a year after starting with On Campus. There are 6 or 7 courses that are pre-decided between us and the University of Amsterdam, and if you pass those courses, then you have a guaranteed place on one of your degree on the degree program that you've chosen. So this is a very secure way to get yourself onto a master's. So that's the master's qualifying program that we offer at the moment. So we're going through these quite nicely. I've got a couple of slides now, and one of them is about why you would choose to study at UFA. And then equally why you would choose to study at AUAS. It's quite easy to sell at UFA. It's quite easy to sell the University of Amsterdam to people. It's a world top 60 university. That's the first thing to say. We are one of the great universities in the world and one of the highest ranking universities that has such a partnership with a foundation provider. It's what we say a modern university, but with a rich history. It's been teaching and has had a university, Amsterdam, since the 1600s. And they do look at that history and they do talk about that history. And of course, it's given a great deal of gravitas to the studying within the Netherlands. But it's a modern university. They are constantly looking to the future. So you only have to look at the amount of building work, for example, and the amount of updating that they do constantly to the buildings that they have. So they hold on to this history and they hold on to all the things that are good about that history. But at the same time, they're looking to the future, and they're looking to future to facilities and to ways of teaching and to all of the things that make a modern university an exciting place to be. Located in central Amsterdam, this is one of my other points as well. And for any of you who have been to Amsterdam, I'm hoping some of you have been. Amsterdam is a beautiful city. It's not a huge city. It has less than 1 million residents, which makes it really quite a small place. You can cycle from one end of Amsterdam to the other in 30 or 40 minutes. It's the centre of Amsterdam. You can see behind me on my screen. I'll just put my head like that. You can see it's a beautiful place, and students cycle and walk past these lovely canal side buildings all the time. It has a huge sense of history. And for anybody who loves to live in slightly smaller, slightly kind of more European feeling places, I guess Amsterdam is the perfect choice. It's quite safe as a city, I would say. I've never felt in danger in Amsterdam. No city is completely 100% safe. That would be stupid to say so. But Amsterdam, generally speaking, is a quiet and a calm place, and people go about their business in quite a quiet and calm way. It has a world-class teaching faculty. So the thing about being a very, very highly ranked university is, of course, that the people who want to work there and want to research there are at the top of their game as well. So you're going to come across people who are the very best in the world in their particular discipline. The study is led by research. So again, that comes back to that world-class faculty. Those people who are in charge of your education are the people who are forerunners in their field. So you're going to meet economists who are the most forward-thinking economists in the world if you come and study with us. The Netherlands is famous for people who speak perfect English. The courses that you study will be taught completely perfectly. Wherever you go. And so it means that if you're not a Dutch speaker, it doesn't matter. It doesn't stop you from being a student there. So it's a truly international place to live. But of course, because Dutch is the language in the Netherlands, and the Netherlands isn't the UK or the USA, it means that as a non-native speaker, you're not different to the Dutch people who you're studying and working and living alongside. You're all communicating in a second or possibly third language. And I do think that this makes for easier and clearer communication between people, because our students are not at a disadvantage. Everybody is studying in their second or their third language. There's some of the things that might make you want to choose to study at the University of Amsterdam. Now, AOAS is a little bit harder to sell. It's not ranked in the same way because it's not a research institution. But the first point I make is one of the strongest points we can make about studying at AOAS. 80% of graduates have employment within 6 months of graduating. And when I say employment, I mean proper graduate employment. So 80% of people within 6 months of graduating have got themselves on that ladder. They've got their first graduate job, and they are already looking towards their career and starting their career at that point. Again, it's an incredibly international place to study. 80 nationalities are represented in their international classrooms. Again, all the degree programs are taught in English, so you won't be disadvantaged if you don't speak Dutch. It's an internationally recognised and accredited degree. The AMSIB degree is internationally recognised and internationally accredited. They have excellent facilities, and their facilities are in the business district of Amsterdam. So not in the pretty centre, but their business school is opposite the headquarters for two of the largest banks in the world. You are right there within that kind of exciting area, and it does add certainly to the feeling within the college. All students are assigned a mentor to guide them from day one. Again, it's a slightly different approach, but they accept and understand that their students might need a bit more guidance, and so they put that guidance in place so that everybody has someone who takes them through the full degree program. They're going to be helping with choosing internships, maybe choosing electives. That mentor will be there right the way through the studies. And finally, all students can choose an elective to suit their interests and internships to boost their employability. So if you start studying and you decide that actually what you're really interested in is in marketing, but sort of international marketing, you might choose to study at a couple of other languages, maybe German or French. And also your internships are going to be pushing you towards marketing and international marketing. That's how it works with your mentor. You will decide what's the best way to study, where the best places to go and look for internships are. So all in all, it's a very, very work-oriented degree program, and within 4 years you have a proper degree. You have a degree that has that level, but you also have something that employers are really going to be eager to talk to you about, because you're going to have all of those skills in place that will make you very, very employable. Okay, so that's why you might choose AOAS. Lovely. So a couple of other little slides, and this is again about on campus and how we support our students. So we have, as I say, we have just over 300 students with us at the moment, and this is what we're here to do. We're here to support the students, because ultimately what we're looking for our students is a really successful year. So we have various different things that we put in place to make sure students are properly supported. And on this sheet, you can see some other things that we do. We're available for students every day. And even when we are working remotely, even when we can't all be in the same building together, we still make sure that there is an hour every day where students can always get hold of someone from the office and ask any questions that they have. We have plenty of welfare sessions as well. So lots and lots of question and answer hours on welfare. There's something that we call a stress release hour that the head of welfare puts together once a week. So if students need to just let go of some stress, they can do that with her once a week. Lots and lots of extra workshops. And at the moment, of course, a lot of the focus has been on studying effectively from home, as students have had to be isolated in their own homes and not come into the centre. We have, of course, a very experienced academic staff and specially designed materials. And the materials, we've been working on them for, as I say, for 10 years now, as we've been working with the university to try and make sure that the students that we have the best possible chance, not just of succeeding at the on-campus programme, but also succeeding when they go to university. And this is something that we constantly think and constantly look at, is how can we make sure that our students are successful once they get to the university. And for any parents who are out there who are a little bit worried about their children, if you have a child who is under 18, then we do extra special checks on the under 18s, because we do accept that they are a little bit younger and possibly need a little bit more support than the 18-year-olds might do when they're on our program with us. Okay, something new that we're doing this year, again, it's all about mental health. We have added a literacy program for all of our students. It's a compulsory program. Students do one term, and it's 6 classroom-based group sessions, and then followed up with an individual session with the head of welfare. And it's a program that's designed to focus the students on recognizing, managing, and lowering stress. Okay, so it's all about recognizing what causes stress and how we can lower that stress. And through that, we hope we can see that students will improve their academic performance, because of course they are more aware of their own mental health and the mental health of those around them. So this is a new program that we're running this year. And we're really trying to give the students, as I say, those tools and those words and that awareness, so they can manage their own and lower their own stress, and therefore make themselves into much more successful students. Again, not just to our program, but onwards through the university degree as well. And then finally, as I said I would do, I've got a couple of slides that just cover the current situation in the Netherlands with COVID. Things are changing all the time. We are currently coming out of another lockdown. It was decided by the Dutch government that the new variant was spreading very quickly, and although it's not, it's seen as not as serious an illness as the previous versions, it spreads very quickly. So of course that means that the number of people available to work, for example, is a lot smaller. So they put us into a gentle but fairly strict lockdown just before Christmas, but we're coming out of that now. So, well, from next Monday, we will be back to teaching our students face-to-face at the university, which is lovely. We'll see everybody again. We're asking still for social distancing though, so people will feel a little bit safer. We're just making sure that we keep that 1.5 meter distance. Maximum group sizes of 75. Our classes normally are around about 20 students, but for university lectures, of course, 75 is quite a small number, but they're keeping it down to 75 people. We're making face masks mandatory everywhere. So from Monday, we're asking students to wear face masks in the corridors when they're walking around, but also in class as well. And I think this means that students will feel safer and their tutors will feel safer as well. So that's what we're doing with face masks. There are walking routes now around the university, so you can get to wherever you want to go. But there's been a lot of care and attention made in making sure that people use the buildings as safely as possible to sort of minimize crowding, and lots of ventilation and lots of cleaning to make sure that everybody feels very safe. Same as we've always said, anyone with COVID-related symptoms would be asked to stay at home and get tested. And getting tested here is very straightforward. There are test centres everywhere. and tests are free if you want to go and get tested. There are self-test kits available as well for free, again, for university students, and we're advising everybody to self-test twice a week. We are now, the country now is through, really, the majority of people have now had their third or their booster shot, and that goes for students as well. And of course, the vaccine centres are ongoing. So students who've just arrived don't need to make an appointment, don't have to have any special paperwork. You can go and get your vaccine the minute that you get here. So these things really do make quite a difference to the situation in the Netherlands. So that's where we are right now. And we're coming back out of the latest lockdown and feeling very ready to get back at the university and start seeing people face to face. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that was interesting for you all. I'm really happy to answer questions if and when you might have any.
Thank you, Sally. Very quick, let us know what would be the difference between research university and applied science university in Netherlands, and also a very brief introduction to guide us which program they might progress to with ONCAMPUS preparation program. All right, first of all, it's about the application. So what will be the procedure and what will be like very necessary document for that?
Very good. So it's a really nice positive question to be asked. Thank you very much. We try to keep it as straightforward as possible. So the first thing we want to see from students, we need to make sure that you are at the right academic level and you are at the right level for English. And that's a straightforward system of sending your documents, so your academic document. So if it's for an undergraduate degree foundation program, we'd like to see your high school documents, and then some kind of proof of your level of English. So maybe an IELTS certificate or a TOEFL certificate. And providing you, and then we will take the academic documents and we will check them with the university to make sure they are absolutely exactly as we would expect. And then very quickly we can make you an offer based on those documents. If you don't have all the documents straight away, that's fine. We can just make you a conditional offer that says, okay, we'd like you to come, but we need to see these academic and English documents. Once we've done that step, we would also ask all students to take a pre-arrival maths test. So we like to test the level of maths of students before they come to us, just to make sure that you are at the right level so that you're going to be able to survive on our programme. That's for the University of Amsterdam. For AUAS, for the Applied Science University, there is no pre-arrival maths test. You don't have to do a maths test. And then finally, for social sciences students, they also have an interview. That's most often with me, but it might be with one of the other members of staff. And that's really just to talk again about the different options that are available to you, to check your motivation, and also check that you're the right kind of student for that program, because we do like students on that program especially to have very strong communication skills. And it doesn't matter if your English isn't very strong, but you need to have the will and the enthusiasm to actually communicate with us. So that might be a 10 or a 15-minute interview. And providing all those things go well, then we will make an offer for our program.
Is it the same procedure for both bachelor preparation and master qualifying program?
It is actually, yeah, it is. In fact, yeah, but there is no maths test for the master's programs. We don't do a pre-arrival maths test.
Is any tuition loans or say like something like scholarship or financial aid for international students?
Yeah, there are some scholarships available. We are working on a program of bigger scholarships as well. There's a good website called Study in Holland, which lists all of the possible types of all of the possible scholarships that you can apply for. I think the most important thing is if you do want to have a scholarship or you're looking to come to us but you need financial support, get in touch and ask, and then we can have a look and see if there's something available.
I believe the scholarship or any financial support is for the bachelor or master program instead of for the preparation program.
Generally speaking, that's the case. Exactly that. So that financial support would be after you'd finish with us.
So in general, if the master degree in Netherlands would take how long? For example, 1 year or 2 years, or it depends on which track they are choosing, or
1 year. It's a 1-year program. What's very, very most Dutch students as well have to do some kind of pre-masters. So it's very usual to do a pre-masters and then a master's program. But they both take 1 year.
In order to apply for any master program with, say, UVA or AUS, do they need any relevant bachelor background, or it depends on like which program they are pursuing?
Yeah, it depends on the program. So generally speaking, it's good to have some background, some similar background. And certainly for economics, we would be looking for quite a good grounding in economics before you started even the master's program. But again, what we do is we take your application and we talk to the university and they make the decision about whether or not you're admissible to our program.
Last but not least would be, okay, so you just list out those say master program or bachelor program that on campus offer the progression or either qualifying programs too.
Yeah.
So we have, believe, I'm not sure whether she is interested in any bachelor or master, but it's gonna be the psychology program of UVA.
Yeah,
It's gonna be-
psychology is really tricky. We don't have any pathway to psychology at the moment, and psychology are very clear that they don't accept foundation course students. So really, if you wanted to go and study psychology at the University of Amsterdam, the best thing for you to do is to do a year's worth of study at a university in Taiwan and study psychology in Taiwan for a year first, and then go to the university. And that way you would be probably successful. Coming through the foundation program at the moment is not going to help you get into psychology. Unfortunately, we're working on that, but I can't make any promises.
Okay, I think that's all we have for now. But Sally, thank you for coming up today. You just said,
My pleasure.
just providing us a lot of information on campus, also helping us to differentiate the difference between research university and applied science university, which is pretty important for them to choose which university they will just pursuing and progress in.
Exactly.
Thank you, Sally.
It was lovely to have the chance to speak to you all, and have a good evening.